Before TikTok financial advice, Americans on the frontier had a set of money rules that built generational wealth from absolutely nothing. Most of those rules have been completely forgotten. These were not quirky old traditions or cute pioneer stories. These were deliberate financial strategies that kept families alive and building wealth in an economy with no banks, no safety nets, and no second chances. Every single one of these habits is free to adopt today, but almost nobody teaches them anymore. Here are 10 frontier money habits that built America, counting down to the one that mattered most of all. Number 10. Mobility. In the 1800s, roughly 1 in 3 Americans changed addresses every single year. That is not a typo. 1 in 3. People followed opportunity wherever it appeared. Gold in California, land in Kansas, timber in Oregon, railroads cutting across the plains. Settling somewhere was not about finding a cozy spot and putting down roots because you liked the weather. It was a calculated financial bet. You moved to where the resources were, and when those resources dried up, you moved again. Today, Americans are less geographically mobile than at any point in modern history. People stay locked into expensive cities with declining opportunity because they have built an identity around their zip code. But frontier Americans understood something we have forgotten. Your zip code is a financial decision, not an identity. If opportunity is somewhere else, you go to it. It does not come to you. Number 9. Barter as a financial skill. Cash was genuinely scarce on the frontier. Coins were hard to come by, and paper money was often unreliable. So, bartering food, livestock, tools, and labor was how communities actually functioned on a daily basis. A blacksmith might fix your wagon wheel for 10 bushels of corn. No middleman, no interest rate, no transaction fee. And here is what that really taught people. It taught them to understand the real value of goods and services. When you barter, you cannot hide behind a price tag. You have to know what your time, your skill, and your product are actually worth. That is a skill most Americans have completely lost in an age of tap to pay. But it is quietly making a comeback. Skill-swapping networks, time banks, and local trade groups are growing across the country. People are rediscovering that you do not always need dollars to create value. Number 8. Diversified income. Frontier families did not rely on one paycheck. A single homestead might produce eggs, milk, wool, hog meat, surplus wheat, and corn, each one tradable or sellable separately. On top of that, a farmer might trap furs in winter, sell timber in spring, and do blacksmith work on the side during the slow months. Diversification was not a YouTube guru buzzword. It was survival. If one crop failed or prices dropped at market, you had other sources keeping your family alive. And here is the part most people miss. Most frontier farms were deliberately small and diversified rather than large and specialized. That was not ignorance. That was risk management. They understood something Wall Street charges thousands of dollars to teach in seminars. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Except on the frontier, those were literal eggs. Number 7. Food preservation as wealth preservation. And this one connects to something deeper than most people realize. Salt, smoke, and snow. Those were New England's 3 S's, the standard methods for keeping meat through a long winter. Canning, drying, smoking, and root cellaring meant frontier families could store a full year of food without ever stepping into a grocery store, because grocery stores did not exist. This skill did not die on the frontier either. During World War II, half of all American households grew victory gardens. 20 million acres planted by ordinary families, producing 8 million tons of food by 1943. But after the war, frozen foods came along. TV dinners, convenience culture, and those preservation skills vanished in a single generation. Now the average American household wastes 30 to 40% of its food. Your great-grandmother would have considered that a moral failing. Every jar of preserved tomatoes was money in the bank. Every wasted pound of food today is money in the trash. Number 6. Community mutual aid. On the frontier, neighbors did not hire contractors. When someone needed a barn, the whole community showed up. Everyone brought tools, food, and labor. The Amish still do this today. They call it a frolic. But this was not some quaint rural tradition. It was a sophisticated economic system. Benjamin Franklin founded the first mutual fire insurance company in 1752. The idea was simple: neighbors pooling risk together. No corporation required. Dairy cooperatives like Cabot Creamery, farm co-ops, and mutual aid societies were standard American economic structures for generations. And here is the key distinction. This was not charity. It was strategic reciprocity. You help build my barn, I help harvest your field. The unspoken contract was ironclad. Social capital was financial capital. Your reputation in the community was your credit score. And unlike a modern credit score, it actually measured something real. But there is a habit coming up that might matter even more than community, and it has to do with what is going on inside your own head. Number 5. Delayed gratification as a daily practice. Frontier life was one long exercise in patience. You planted in spring to eat in fall. You worked 5 years to prove up a homestead claim under federal law. There was no instant anything. It cost roughly $1,500 to clear and stock an 80-acre farm, and adjusted for inflation, that is over $50,000 today. Settlers saved for years before they ever headed west. They did not finance the dream. They funded it. Modern research confirms what frontier families knew instinctively. The inability to delay gratification is one of the strongest predictors of debt, driven largely by impulse buying. Benjamin Franklin published Poor Richard's Almanack from 1732 to 1758, and it sold 10,000 copies a year. One of its most famous lines was this: "He that can have patience can have what he will." That almanac was America's original financial playbook, and its core message was simple: wait, work, then collect. Number 4. Production over consumption. 2 generations ago, the average American household could preserve a year's worth of food, treat common ailments from the garden, build water systems by hand, and grow enough food on a quarter acre to feed a family of 5. Frontier families made their own soap, candles, clothing, furniture, and medicine. Every dollar not spent was a dollar earned. Franklin said that too, by the way. A penny saved is a penny earned. It is one of the most quoted lines in American history, and almost nobody actually follows it anymore. Here is the real shift that happened. Your great-grandmother's household was a production unit. It created value. It made things. It generated output. Your household, statistically speaking, is a consumption unit. It buys things. It subscribes to things. It orders things. The flow of money reversed completely in about 70 years. Americans went from makers to buyers, and we barely noticed it happening. Every skill you learn that replaces a purchase is a permanent raise that no employer can take away from you. Number 3. Internal locus of control. This one is not a physical habit. It is a mental one. And the research behind it is staggering. A Consumer Financial Protection Bureau study of 15,000 families found the strongest predictor of financial success was not inheritance, not education, not income level. It was something psychologists call an internal locus of control. That is the belief that your actions determine your outcomes. Frontier settlers embodied this completely. If you did not plant, you did not eat. If you did not chop wood in summer, you froze in winter. There was no safety net, no bailout, no one else to blame. Research published in Frontiers in Psychology confirms that people with an internal locus of control save more, plan better, and avoid impulse spending. The modern problem is learned helplessness around money. Whether the system is rigged or not, the belief that it is makes people stop trying. Frontier Americans simply did not have that luxury. And that mindset, more than any single skill, is what separated those who built wealth from those who did not. Number 2. The cash-only rule. Frontier Americans lived in a cash and coin economy, and here is a fact that surprises most people. Credit cards as we know them are only about 50 years old. Consumer credit scores have existed for just 20 years. For the vast majority of American history, the rule was dead simple. If you cannot pay for it right now, you do not buy it. Settlers carried gold and silver coins. They saved until they could afford a purchase outright. Your great-great-grandparents would have rather gone without than owe a stranger money. And the numbers tell a striking story. In the 1950s through the 1980s, Americans saved 10 to 15% of their income. Today, that number has fallen to 3 or 4%. The shift from save then buy to buy then pay is historically brand new. It is essentially a national experiment. And if you look at consumer debt levels, the results of that experiment are not looking good. Number 1. Land ownership. This is the big one. The habit that built more American wealth than any other single strategy in history. In 1862, the Homestead Act gave away 246 million acres of Western land, nearly the size of California and Texas combined, to individual Americans, essentially for free. All you had to do was live on it and improve it for 5 years. An estimated 46 million adult Americans alive in the year 2000 were direct descendants of original Homestead Act recipients. That is roughly a quarter of the entire adult population of the United States. Think about that. A quarter of the country can trace their family's wealth foundation back to a single principle: own the land under your feet. Frontier Americans understood this above all else. Land produces food, shelter, and timber. It appreciates over generations. It cannot be printed, inflated, or deleted by a server crash. Real estate remains the #1 way middle-class Americans build wealth today. And yet homeownership rates are declining among younger generations. The one lesson that built more American wealth than any other is becoming harder to follow. Not because the principle changed, but because we forgot to fight for it. Every one of these 10 habits is free to adopt today. The frontier is gone, but the principles that built wealth on it have not changed one bit. We just stopped teaching them. Your great-grandparents did not have financial advisors, investment apps, or credit scores. They had discipline, production, community, and land. That was enough to build everything we inherited. The question now is whether we are smart enough to remember what they already knew. If even one of these habits stuck with you, try putting it into practice this week. Pick the one that hit hardest and start there. And if you know someone who could use a reminder of what Americans used to know about money, send this their way. Sometimes the best financial advice is the oldest.